What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. This week in the news, there are quite a few stories that probably should be covered. First one that I saw that caught my eye was good old Elizabeth Warren, who is telling women that when it comes to sports, she don't care diddly squat about them, because she literally said that they have to protect the transgender community or the alphabet community, especially when it comes to sports. Now, you ladies, you did this to yourselves, letting all these men into your sports and basically beating you at everything, and then them claiming that they're transgender. So you can't compete in the same sport because men and women are built differently. That's just the way it is. But a lot of these so-called transgender women or whatever, they're claiming or they couldn't win against men, so they started claiming that they were transgenders so they could get into women's sports. And naturally, they're dominating the women because they're men. But yeah, Elizabeth Warren just went on and on about how, they need to protect the alphabet community and especially those in sports. And she even went on to talk about how children that are really young need to be protected. So-called parents forcing their children or abusing their children by letting them become transgender. She says they need to protect them as well. I'm sorry, but that's a form of child abuse. No child should be exposed to any kind of sexual behavior like that. And parents forcing that on their kids, it's child abuse, plain and simple. I don't care if they get older and they become an adult, and if they want to transition, or if they want to be gay, they want to live a gay lifestyle, hey, that's their business. They can do what they want. I have no problem with gay people. Don't bother me. However, when you force it on a child, that's when, I have issues with it. It's ridiculous. And it's retarded. No one knows if they're, if they say they're a dinosaur, you don't force them to go and have surgery to change them into a dinosaur because they feel like they should be a dinosaur. Come on. Let's get real. But anyways, that's my thoughts on that. I saw that with Elizabeth Warren. I just thought it was ridiculous. It was dumb and retarded. You do realize, that they're basically, the alphabet community is basically shoving this down people's throats, and they're literally grooming these kids. It's called grooming, and they're doing it to the parents too. I'm not saying everybody who's gay is doing that, but the vast majority of them are. So you people need to wake up, start fighting back. Stop letting them abuse our kids. Anyways, moving on. The other thing I saw, again, just like I was just talking about them doing, pushing it on kids and crap. Disney is gone and made a cartoon with an alphabet character in it. Some type of cop Cyclops or what, Cyclops cop or whatever, who's gay. Of course, it bombed because most parents won't let their kids watch that kind of crap. Stop exposing kids to that kind of any type of sexual behavior. That's wrong, period. That's why I don't believe they should have a gay pride, because, they have gay pride, yet they're letting them, their dongs are swinging out in front of kids and crap. It's wrong. Last time I knew, indecent exposure was against the law, but apparently not there in California. They don't do anything to them. But whatever. You can't shove that down a kid's throat. It's going to backfire on the alphabet community eventually. I wish people would start standing up now before it gets to be too late. Because we're entering an age where that's gone way too far and it needs to be stopped. Okay, moving on. The next thing I saw, which I don't really know this guy, but apparently there's a Californian governor named Newsom or something like that. But he wants doctors like psychologists and psychiatrists. He wants them to give all those who are mentally ill or homeless living on the streets there in Cali. He thinks they should all write them prescriptions for a new home, a house. Just write them a prescription, give them a free house, a new home. That's the way he believes they can fight the homeless out there, is by giving more free shit. How retarded do you got to be? These people are so dumb. Democrats are horrible, dumb people. I'm a psychologist, and that don't even make sense to me. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. Alright, moving on. AOC manages to make her way into the news again. Now she's gunning for an all-female Congress. She thinks all of Congress should be female. And she's putting together a list of names for a team of all-female Congress, which is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. But, some of these congresswomen that she's wanting to put in there, they're all Republicans. Most of them are Republicans, so, whatever. She's dumb. Dumber. That woman is the dumbest box of rock. Dumber than a box of rocks. She's so dumb. I'm surprised she's still in there. She won't last another term. I guarantee you she's getting voted out next round. The next thing I saw was Democrats. Oh my gosh. Especially black Democrats. Look, there was a couple in Indiana. The guy was black. the girl was white. They tried to run over a couple young kids or whatever. I think they were all boys. I'm not too sure about that, but anyways, they tried to. There was like 2 or 3 of them. They tried to run them over with their vehicle. Literally tried to run them over because they had flags on the back of their bikes or whatever that said Trump, you know, because they claimed they were Trump supporters. These Democrats, especially these black Democrats, claiming that they're not aggressive and crap and not hateful, but then they want to try to pull crap like that, you know. And it's just not black Democrats, but you know, any type of far leftists, you know, they all are super aggressive, especially when you don't support their views. It's just gotten really bad. That shit needs to stop too. The far left needs to be put in their place. The last thing I want to talk about, which I saw, was apparently they're going to start a new, I'm not sure if it's going to be a movie or a show, kind of like The Mandalorian, but they're going to do a new Star Wars movie or something. The rumor is they're going to do it about the Sith and the supposedly secret Sith world that they introduced and Rise of the Skywalker. But we all know if they do that, we know how it's going to go. No one cares about that crap. So I don't know what Disney's thinking. They're idiots. Bob Iger's the dumbest CEO I've ever known. He's dumb. Dumb. But yeah, that pretty much covers most of the little magic school bus community or society. Just, they're so dumb. But that's the insane world we're living in now, where you got far left extremists pulling some of the most insane crap. They're all mentally ill. They need help. Seriously. Someone should do something. And, you know, most of the Democrats, they're all very mentally ill. I'm a psychologist and I can see it from a mile away. You know, that they've got some serious mental issues. And they need to be put in a psych ward. But anyways, that's all I have for you for the news. Let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, movie-holics, let's move on to your B-movie reviews. This week, we're back to Fantasy Week. I went along the route of Greek mythology for this Fantasy Week. However, it was really hard to find any Greek mythology movies. It's really surprising, but there's really not that many of them, unless it has to do with Hercules. Now, in the 50s and 60s, there's just a god-awful amount of movies about Hercules. So many different versions. And in fact, there's quite a few biblical movies about Romans in biblical times, but not really Greek mythology. Just Hercules. Tons of Hercules movies. Later on, you get you get a few different Greek mythology movies, but not very many. Like in the 80s and 90s. And then there's a bunch of TV movies, like Hallmark movies and crap like that, but they're not really good at all, so I didn't even bother checking those out. I think the last Hercules movie that was done not too long ago. It was done by The Rock. But you're going to find a ton of Hercules movies through the 50s and 60s. And then every now and then, every decade or so, they have like 2 or 3 Hercules movies. There was a couple of cheesy Hercules movies done with I can't even think of his name. The guy who played the Incredible Hulk on the TV series. Oh man, for the life of me, I can't think of his name. But he did a couple of Hercules movies in the 80s that was really cheesy. I may get around to those eventually, but not right now. But yeah, looking for anything different was really hard if it wasn't a Hercules movie. It just wasn't there. But I did find a couple of them. First one I'm going to talk about was done in 1981, and it's called Clash of the Titans. Now there was a remake done in like 2010, but it really went way off the story. I mean, the only part in the whole entire movie that was similar to the original was, you know, the whole Medusa scene, but other than that, most of the rest of the movie had nothing to do with the original. The original starred Harry Hamlin and Judy Bowker. Now, this was one of the #1 hits as far as movie goes for 1981. It was really big and popular back then. It made about 60 million worldwide, which wasn't really all that bad back then. That was actually pretty decent. The story is basically about Perseus. He's a son of Zeus, and he's basically falls in love with this girl named Andromeda, who at one point in time was supposedly supposed to marry the goddess Thetis' son called Calibus. But Calibus did a bunch of evil deeds and killed a bunch of winged horses like Pegasus, which Zeus favored, and Zeus punished him, deformed him, and made him an outcast. Thetis gets jealous because he wants to give Perseus a chance in life, and she wants to take a revenge out on Perseus because, you know, she spoiled her child, and she thinks her child should get everything, even though he's done terrible evil deeds. Anyways, she takes it out on Perseus by throwing him in a different place, you know, trying to play like some type of game of chance with him or something, you know. She gives him a chance, but at the same time, she hopes he dies. Zeus orders a few of the gods to give him some magical weapons. Gives him a shield, a helmet, and a sword. For the journey he must overcome. Perseus, like I said, falls in love with Andromeda. And their kingdom's supposedly cursed. And this is Theseus's worshippers, this city or whatever, this kingdom. Princess Andromeda, she's got to give some type of riddle to any man who comes forward and says they want to marry her. And then they have to solve the riddle. If they don't, then they're burned at the stake. Literally. Well, Perseus, he kind of cheats, to be honest. He puts on the magical helmet, which allows him to be invisible. And he sees Andromeda's spirit being taken by this giant vulture to the swampland where Calibus is. And he kind of sneaks in and listens to what's going on. And Calibus is the one who's given her the riddles because he don't want to give her up. Even though he can't physically be with her, and she's not in love with him. Anyways, Perseus, you know, he figures out the riddle. He gets in a fight with Calibus, but he doesn't kill him. He just takes his hand. He solves the riddle. They're to be wedded, and then all of a sudden, Thetis, his mother, the goddess Thetis, she proclaims her own curse that Andromeda has like a month, and then they've got to give her up to the Kraken. So Perseus now has to find a way to destroy the Kraken. With the help of the gods, they give him this mechanical little golden owl, and it tells him a way to destroy the Kraken, or tells him the way to get to the three witches or whatever that are blind. They eat men. They're cannibals. They have this round, like marble thing or whatever they call the eye, lets them see and does other things for him. But he heard about the three witches from the old man he meets. Anyways, he goes to see the three witches, which tell him the Medusa, her head could turn anything to stone. All it has to do is gaze upon him. So he gets what information he needs from the three witches, and he goes to kill Medusa, which he does, and then eventually, with Calibus trying to interfere a couple of times, he does end up killing Calibus, and he makes it back with the help of Bupu, which is the golden owl or whatever that's been helping him out. Bupu goes and frees Pegasus, which Calibus captured earlier on. But now Pegasus helps Perseus and takes him back to the city, where he confronts the Kraken with Medusa's head and saves the day, saves the princess at the last moment, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. It's a great adventure story, and I didn't give you like, you know, the full-on details of everything that happens. It's really great. It's really one. When I remember when I was a little kid when I watched it. Amazing movie, awesome movie. I love this movie. You know, this is one of those where you got to watch it every so often. You know, awesome movie. Definitely 2 thumbs up. The acting's great. It has some stop motion camera for you know, graphic wise, but other than that, the story's great. You know, awesome movie. Definitely check it out. It's right up there with Willow. If you're looking for a good Greek mythology movie, that's definitely the #1 on the list. The next movie I'm going to talk about that I watched was actually done in 2004, and it's called Troy. It made about 500 million worldwide, which is really, really good. It starred, of course, Brad Pitt as Achilles, Eric Bana played Hector, and Orlando Bloom played Paris, and then a couple of your leading ladies, Diana Kruger played Helen, and then Rose Byrne played Beatrice, or whatever her name is, the cousin of Hector and Paris. But those are the main characters in this movie. You saw King Pyrrhus and King Agamemnon, you know, a few times throughout the movie, but they weren't the main focus of the movie. It mainly centered around Brad Pitt and Rose Byrne and Hector, Paris, and Helen. But anyways, it's basically the story of Helen of Troy, which most people know about. Yes, the story in this is a little bit different from the book. It doesn't give you everything from the book. It just gives you you know, the main frame of the story, and then it embellishes every now and then. But still, it's still, you know, regardless of that, it's still a good movie and a good story, even though it doesn't tell a complete. It's not a complete accurate description of the book or the story of the book. I normally don't care for you know, movies like that most of the time. You've heard me complain about the way, you know, like Marvel's done with all the comic book heroes and DC. They don't tell the original story. They don't tell the story from the comics. You know, they go way off and retell their own story and make their own version of it, which really gets underneath my skin and irritates me. I wish they wouldn't do that, because no one's seen the original story on the big screen, and that's what everybody wants to see. Instead, they redo it. This is similar to that, but it's still, you know, I've never actually sat down and read the Iliad or whatever it's called, the Book of Homer, that tells the story of Helen of Troy. I just know the main gist of it, you know, what it's about and blah blah blah. Uh, so regardless of that, it still doesn't take away from the fact that it's still a really, really well done movie. Now this movie is like 3 hours long or so, I think. Yeah, it's long. It's long. It's at least 3 hours. It's a long, long ass movie. But it's really good. It's one of the better kind of historical type Greek mythology type movies. I like historical movies that are done like this, that are done really well. You know, like Braveheart and Alexander and movies like that. It's really good like that. I like that kind of movie. Troy was no exception. Like I said, it basically just tells the story of Helen of Troy, how Paris kidnapped the Spartan king's wife, and then the Spartan king got with his brother Agamemnon and asked him to go to war. Of course, King Agamemnon, he'd been after Troy for a long time. He's been wanting to go to war with Troy. This gave him an excuse for it. So he called all the armies together and they go fight Troy. Now in the movie, it doesn't depict the fact that, you know, this war or whatever, it lasted a number of years. It didn't just happen real fast. I mean, it took years. But eventually, you know, it tells how Achilles dies and everything, you know, Achilles' heel or whatever. I don't know if Beatrice or whatever her name is, the cousin to Hector in Paris, is actually in the book. I don't know if that character is in the book or not. In this one, she was kind of a love interest for Achilles. You know, he keeps her captive for a while. Yeah, Beatrice was kind of I think an add-on character. I don't know for sure. But like I said, she was kind of like a love interest for Achilles. Eventually she goes back, and Achilles, he sneaks in on the Trojan horse. You know the story. They snuck inside the Trojan horse. They came out at night and opened the gates, and then the Greeks destroyed the city. Anyways, Achilles went in to find her. Paris apparently kills Achilles, and she kills King Agamemnon. And I don't think that's the way it went in the book, but regardless, you know, the Greeks destroy Troy, and Paris takes off with a few people of Troy and leaves. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. Achilles dies, you know, the greatest Greek hero of all time. But you know, it shows Ajax, but I think there was 2 Ajaxes in the book, but I only show one. He gets killed by Hector. The big fight scene between Hector and Achilles was really great. The fighting and stuff, the CGI, it wasn't bad in this movie. It was really good. The acting was phenomenal. So this is an amazing movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. Check it out. That's all I have for you this week. Tune in until next time. I'll see you next week. If you know any gems I might have missed as far as B-rated movies or such, please leave your suggestions down in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. But I hope you liked this video, and I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.